Nothing in this life feels truly alive unless you're willing to gamble everything on it. There's a line I keep close. The greatest tragedy isn't falling short. It's shrinking your dreams so small that you never have to leap at all. You've heard it 1,000 times from well-meaning people. Have a backup plan. Keep something safe to land on. I've never bought that. If I'm going to crash, I don't want a parachute made of what-ifs. I want to dive head first so I can at least see the ground rushing up to meet me. That's the only way you learn what you're really made of. Passion without follow-through is just noise. Dreams without deadlines are bedtime stories. There was once a puzzle, 9 dots arranged in a square. The challenge was to connect all 9 with 4 straight lines without lifting your pen. Almost everyone fails the first time because the solution requires you to draw lines that shoot far beyond the edges of the box. That's life. The answer almost never lies inside the lines someone else drew for you. Fall forward. Reggie Jackson still holds the record for the most strikeouts in baseball history, over 2,600 swinging misses. But nobody builds statues for strikeouts. They build them for the 563 home runs that changed the game. Thomas Edison didn't brag about the 1,000 filaments that burned out in a flash. He celebrated the one that finally lit up the night. Every miss, every blackout, every embarrassing flop is tuition paid toward the version of you that finally gets it right. You will fail. You will look ridiculous. You will bomb spectacularly. Good. That just means you showed up. But here's the part most people never tell you at graduation. What happens when you keep getting back up after the worst ones? I spent years in rooms where the air itself smelled like rejection. Early in my acting days, I walked into an audition for a big musical. Perfect part, except I sang like a broken lawnmower. I gave it everything anyway. The casting director smiled politely and said, "Thank you, next." I didn't slink away to something safer. I went to the next cattle call and the next and the next. I prayed hard, cried harder, and kept bombing. But I stayed in the room long enough for luck to find me. There's an old saying, hang around the garage long enough, and eventually you'll get some grease on your hands. 30 years after that first humiliating audition, I returned to the exact same stage, same theater, same lights, and starred in one of the greatest plays of my life. The ghosts of every no I ever heard were sitting in the front row applauding. Here's the question I have for every single one of you wearing a cap and gown today. Do you have the stomach to be terrible at something you love? Because if you're not willing to be bad, you'll never be great. If you're not willing to fail, you're not even in the game. To get a life you've never lived, you have to do things you've never done. Picture this. You're on your deathbed. Around you float the translucent shadows of every book you never wrote, every business you never started, every risky conversation you swallowed instead of saying. They're furious. They whisper, "We came to you because only you could have given us breath. Now you die with you." How many of those ghosts are you willing to carry to the grave? The world is bleeding, and it's waiting on you to bring the bandages. I just came back from places where kids walk miles for a sip of clean water. I've seen neighborhoods right here in America where hope is an endangered species. Tennessee, Louisiana, Philly, Tokyo, Gaza, the planet is begging for what's inside of you. And no, I'm not talking about your bank account. Some of you have money. Some of you have patience that could calm oceans. Some of you have kindness that could melt steel. Whatever your gift is, your time, your voice, your weird obsessive knowledge of soil science, figure out what it is and spend it like a billionaire. Failure isn't just inevitable. Sometimes it's the best GPS you'll ever have. My life looks straight now, but it was a drunk zigzag. I started college as pre-med, took a class called cardiac morphogenesis. Couldn't spell it, couldn't pronounce it, definitely couldn't pass it. Switched to pre-law, then journalism, then nothing. My GPA dropped to a proud 1.8, and the dean kindly suggested I explore other opportunities. Translation, don't come back next semester. I was 20, broke, and directionless. Then one random afternoon, March 27, 1975, I was sweeping hair in my mother's beauty salon when an elder customer locked eyes with me in the mirror. She took the dryer off her head and said, "Boy, I've got a word for you. You're going to travel the world and speak to millions." I thought she was crazy. She was right. But how did a kicked-out college kid with no plan become someone whose voice now lives in millions of homes? Taking risks isn't just chasing the corner office. It's being brave enough to admit what you don't know and humble enough to learn it from people who look nothing like you. The chances you take, the hearts you let in, the faith you refuse to let die, that's the stuff that writes your real resume. Never be discouraged. Never play small to make other people comfortable. Give every ounce of fight you have, and when, not if, you fall forward. I see you out there. I see fire in your eyes that my generation is starting to lose. Don't waste it on safe. Don't trade it for comfortable. The world needs dreamers who are willing to bleed for what they believe in. So here's my final dare to you. Leave this place and go be unreasonably, illogically, gloriously alive. Fail big. Love hard. Try again. Because one day, maybe 30 years from now, you'll walk back onto a stage you once bombed or open a door you once had slammed in your face, and you'll realize every scar was just a breadcrumb leading you home. But before you charge out there, there's one last story I need to tell you about the night everything almost ended before it began. The night after I got kicked out of college, I sat on the fire escape staring at a future that looked like a blank page on fire. I had nothing, no degree, no plan, just that prophecy from an old woman in a beauty shop echoing in my head. Years later, after I'd finally caught my break, a reporter asked me, "What would you say to your younger self if you could go back?" I thought about it and realized I wouldn't say a word. I'd just hand him the scars, the rejection letters, the empty bank account, the audition failures, and say, "Trust these. They're the map." You're holding your own map right now, even if it feels like ashes. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you ink another line on it. Every time you get up after a knockout, you add a new landmark. So go. Go start the company that might bankrupt you. Write the song that makes you cry in the shower. Love someone who terrifies you. Speak the truth that gets you canceled. Travel the world or transform your block. Both count. And when the nights get dark and the doubts scream loudest, remember this. The light bulb wasn't Edison's 1001st try. It was his 1001st try that said yes. Your job is not to avoid the fall. Your job is to keep falling forward until the ground itself rises up to meet you and says, "Welcome home." Class of today, the world is waiting, louder than it's ever waited before. Don't you dare show up small. Don't you dare play it safe. Get out there and give it everything you've got, your talent, your tears, your wild, impossible dreams. And when you stumble, and you will, smile, dust yourself off, and fall forward. Because that's how legends are born. That's how history remembers the ones who refuse to die with their music still inside them. Now go make some noise. The world is listening.